Hi everyone, Spider-Man 1991 here, and I'm going to talk about all the comics that I bought that came out the week of December 17th, 2014. Enough jibber jabber, let's get into some comic books. Starting off with Marvel Comics, we have All New Captain America issue number 2. The issues this week aren't bagged and boarded because I ran out of supplies. Hopefully I'll get some more back after Christmas. Anyways, the issue opens up where the last one left off, with Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, saving a young boy, Lucas, that he and Nomad, Ian Rogers, have found in the Hydra base. Unfortunately, while Ian deals with the inner circle that they ran into last issue, Sam manages to get the boy out of the Hydra tower, but it suddenly teleports them to Bagalia. And when they manage to land on a rooftop for Sam to try to contact the Avengers, Lucas suddenly pulls out a gun and shoots Sam right in the shoulders. As Sam's falling, he's able to get some air and fly himself to a building, but unfortunately he crashes. And he's shortly found by Crossbones. So the rest of the issue, Sam's pretty much fighting Crossbones, and while critically injured, and Crossbones does get the upper hand, but fortunately Sam is saved by a masked woman who turns out to be Misty Knight. After Misty manages to get Sam away from Crossbones, and they get some space, Sam tries to contact the Avengers, but Misty destroys his communicator and explains that she's been undercover for months, and she's found out that Hydra has infiltrated every single organization, not just S.H.I.E.L.D., but also superhero teams such as the Avengers, the X-Men, the Inhumans, everyone. And back at the Hydra base, Baron Zemo is torturing Ian Rogers, who apparently the Inner Circle have gotten the upper hand. And while he's torturing Ian, Zemo reveals that the boy Lucas is actually one of the people that was affected by the Terrigen bomb, and his Inhuman ability is apparently within his blood. It basically, as Zemo described it, sterilizes humanity. And they plan on releasing this throughout the entire world. And right after Zemo explains this, he cuts Ian's throat, and then takes a picture saying this will make a lovely Christmas card for Steve Rogers. And that's where the issue ends. Okay, a lot of action in this issue, especially when Sam is fighting Crossbones. It's actually a pretty good fight. It shows that even though we know Sam Wilson has experience, he's worked with Captain America for years, and he has the shield, Sam is still really not at that level I would say that Steve is, but he is still able to manage to hold his own against Crossbones for the most of the issue, but he does get some help from Misty Knight when things did take a wrong turn. Also, Hydra's latest plan of infiltration and being everywhere is similar to how Hydra is right now being portrayed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with Hydra with Cap in the Winter Soldier figuring out that Hydra has been slowly growing inside S.H.I.E.L.D., and Hydra is everywhere now. So I think this is definitely another link that Marvel is trying to do with their comic books, is trying to make them more like the continuity within the movies. And also again, Inhumans. The Hydra is now using Inhumans to help further their goals. Another thing I want to point out, though, is I don't think Ian Rogers is dead. We thought he was dead at the end of the Dimension Z story arc, but he came back. So I really don't think so. I think it may take a lot more to take Ian out. So he might survive this. Even if Ian does survive this, I think he's very not in good condition. So I think he'll probably be in recovery for a while. But really, overall, All New Captain America number 2, still an interesting series. I think now that Hydra is involved and they're basically using the same plot that what's going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, then I think that's more than enough reason for people to start buying this comic. Overall, if you like the idea of Hydra being slowly growing within every single organization, then you'll definitely enjoy this comic. So I'd say All New Captain America is definitely a buy. Okay, next up, Moon Knight, number 10. Dr. Elisa Warsom, who is now using the power of Khonshu, the Egyptian moon god, which she stole last issue from Mark Spector. She's using the power of the moon god to basically convince a UN security officer to assassinate General Alaman Lore for her. Basically, if you've been reading the series, you know that Dr. Warsom wants revenge on Lore for killing her entire village, and she's pretty much going through almost every single attempt. First, she tried hiring an assassin. Then there was the terrorist attack. And last issue, we saw when Mark Spector confronted her about this. She hypnotized him, and they both ran through their memories. And then she was able to somehow convince the moon god to basically leave Mark Spector and work with her. So, anyways, she uses the power of the moon god to basically stalk the security officer until she says yes to her plan. And on the day that she's supposed to shoot Lore going into the UN, suddenly Mark Spector shows up within the crowd, and he tackles one, and he interrupts the shooting, and it doesn't happen, and Lore's still alive. However, because Mark appeared without his costume, he's apparently arrested on site and is taken away by some security officers. And that's basically where the issue ends. Okay, basically, in terms of the villain, all this issue did was just sort of reestablish what we already knew about Dr. Warsom. Also, we basically see how she's basically, I would say, in a way, abusing the power of the moon god, in a sense that she's basically using, and she's just basically further strengthening the quality of her character that's basically seen as a manipulator. Basically throughout this story arc, we've seen Dr. Warsom emerge into someone who basically manipulates people only for the sole purpose of furthering her goals. And that personality trait is definitely enhanced by the moon god's presence with her. So that's basically all we know about her. Also, Mark Spector, no idea how he survived the bomb from last issue. The moon god left him, so he really didn't have any of his power with him, so I honestly think that, really no explanation about how Mark survived the bomb, which I'm a little disappointed about. Gotta be honest, Moon Knight, this was probably the weakest issue of Moon Knight that I've read so far, so I would say for this issue, really just borrow it from a friend. Alright, starting off DC Comics, we have Batman number 37. Just want to point out that this is the Darwyn Cooke variant cover. This month, DC Comics is releasing a bunch of variant covers for their series, with each one drawn by legendary artist Darwyn Cooke. I only got this cover because my comic book shop ran out of the regular covers by the time I got there, so that's why I have the variant for this issue. Anyways, Batman number 37 starts off with Bruce pretty much coming out of the toxin that Joker shot him with last issue, and he discovers that Alfred and Julia moved him to the Batcave that's under Wayne Manor. Well, now it's known as Arkham Manor, and Alfred and Julia have been monitoring the situation with the Joker's gas across Gotham City, and it's basically making citizens crazy. And whenever an attempt to burn out the virus or cure it has been made, it basically just comes back stronger. And Bruce also says that, points out that he's made hundreds of cures for the Joker toxin ever since he's fought the Joker, and he has over 100 varieties of them. And Alfred and Julia explained that they tested all of Bruce's cures, all 100 of them, and none of them worked. So Batman decides that there is another way he can figure out a cure, and that's to locate the original infected person of the virus. So he looks up. So basically, he locates where the virus first broke out, and figures out that Patient Zero is still at Gotham Presbyterian Hospital. So Bruce suits up, heads off on the Bat Glider to go find Patient Zero, and on the way he talks to Commissioner Gordon about the situation. He explains that he's going to Gotham Presbyterian, and Gordon, by the way, is pretty much locked up, has pretty much boarded himself inside his apartment, and and Batman asks him to look up any kind of research he can on why Joker would choose this particular hospital. So Batman heads to the hospital. He breaks in and he's able to locate patient zero. And it turns out that patient zero is Joe Chill. Yeah, the guy who killed Thomas and Martha Wayne. And so Batman finds Joe Chill. Then suddenly these lights right near him come on, and there's like this sort of recreation of the Monarch Theater in Crime Alley where Bruce's parents were killed. And then suddenly a young boy and his parents come out of the theater, and by the way, the boy is actually the kid Duke from the Zero Year story arc. So that was a fun little Easter egg. Anyways, Duke and his parents come out of the theater because obviously they're afraid because Joker's pretty much forcing them to do this. And then Joe Chill, who's affected by the Joker toxin, suddenly is being controlled, draws his gun out, gets ready to fire on them. And so Batman just dives. When the shot is fired, Batman dives in the way of it, takes the bullet, and then knocks out Chill. And unfortunately, though, right after the gunshot goes off, a bunch of people in the hospital who were affected by the toxin start breaking into the room, and suddenly Duke's parents are being affected by the virus. But fortunately, though, Batman is able to grab Duke, and they're both able to get out of the hospital just in time before they get infected. Meanwhile, while Batman's in the hospital, Commissioner Gordon is looking up stuff about Gotham Presbyterian Hospital, and as he's going through it, he's starting to notice that there is some remnant of the Joker in each one of these photos he's looking at. Then suddenly, Gordon hears a noise and heads to his closet, and suddenly a punching bag attached to a spring shoots out, and suddenly Joker basically breaks into Gordon's apartment and then starts a fire, and Jim then takes his gun and shoots Joker right in the chest, and basically Jim's just relieved, and he contacts Batman, tells him it's over, I got him right in the chest, he's not coming back from this. And as Jim's talking about this and he's starting to get a little more relaxed, Joker gets right up. Then suddenly the line goes dead, and as Batman's gliding with Duke, he tries to call Gordon again. He's like, Gordon, Jim, and he gets no answer. Then suddenly someone does answer, and it's Joker, and the words he says on the communicator are, "Hello, Bruce," and that's where the issue ends. This was definitely a good issue. I mean, Batman. Honestly, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo have always done a good job on this title. I'm not going to lie. I seriously think that this is the one comic that in DC that I always love. Like, every time I get an issue of it, I always have good things to say about it. This is really the only DC comic that I think I'm going to keep buying. That I think is going to be on my pull list for a very long time. Although it really depends on how long Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo stay on it. But anyways, this was such a good issue. And again, the theme of Endgame is that this is going to be Joker's final act. He's basically saying goodbye. He's basically telling Batman, like, this is it for me. I'm done with you. I could have done this anytime I wanted, but now I'm ending it between us. And the way that this issue delivers everything, it's just amazing. Like, a lot happens in this issue, and again, the idea that Joker knows who Batman really is, that was something that was touched on in Death of the Family, where at the end Batman explains to Alfred that after one of his first adventures with Joker, when he found the Joker card attached to his boat in the Batcave, he thought he knew who Joker was, and he went to see Joker as Bruce Wayne. And when Joker didn't make any sudden movement towards him, he realized Joker didn't care who he was. But that's not the case. Now that Joker's pretty much cutting ties with Batman, he obviously cares, and he's using that against him. And also, interesting enough though, when we hear Batman's inner thoughts, I honestly think Batman is actually becoming afraid of is really starting to become afraid of this. Like, I mean, yeah, Batman's fought the Joker a ton of times, and he says that to himself in each one of these issues. He acts like, this isn't a big deal. This is a virus. I can cure it. I fought the Joker a lot of times. This is no different. Well, it is very different, alright? The way, everything that's going on is very different, and I think Batman's is really starting to realize that now. So, overall, Batman number 37 is definitely a buy. Alright, next up we have Batman and Robin number 37. Pretty much for this issue, I can only be described in 3 words. Batman fights Darkseid. And it's awesome. The Hellbat armor definitely gives Batman an edge during this fight, and he is able to go toe with Darkseid. But unfortunately, though, towards the end, Darkseid does start to get the upper hand. But when Darkseid gets ready to fires his Omega beams at Batman, Batman is able to use the Chaos Shard that was in Damian's coffin, and he's able to use the shard to basically absorb all the energy from the Omega beams and fully charge the Chaos Shard. And Darkseid's shocked by this, and then Batman pretty much uses the full power of the armor to fire a chest blast, which knocks Darkseid down and leaves like this really cool bat imprint right where Darkseid fell. And as Batman's fighting Darkseid, Batgirl helps Cyborg repair his tech so he can create another boom to get everyone back to Earth. So after Batman defeats Darkseid, gets and attaches the fully charged Chaos Shard to his armor, he grabs Damian's body, and he and the Bat family and Cyborg head back to the Batcave. And when they get there, Bruce is able to take the shard off, put it into Damian's body, and again the shard is fully charged, which restores Damian Wayne to life. And right when Damian comes back to life, he sees his father and he hugs him, and it's a very touching reunion. Bruce is very happy because he has his son back. He's relieved. He's very happy that he was able to do what he wanted and bring back his son. Unfortunately, though, this reunion is cut short because right after Damian comes back, Bruce collapses. And that's where the issue ends. Okay, like I said, main focus point of this issue is Batman fighting Darkseid. And it is an epic fight. It really is. I mean, yeah, Batman's got the Hellbat armor, which by the way did its job. It helped Batman fight Darkseid. So it really lived up to its name. Unfortunately, though, they did say the League did warn Batman that using this armor could possibly prolong his health, and it did. And at the end, Batman's collapse mainly could be due to the overuse of the Hellbat armor, or it could be the fact that he had to attach the Chaos Shard to it in order to get back to Earth. So I think one of those. So obviously that will be addressed in the Robin Rises one-shot, which is coming out next week. But honestly, I think this was a very great story arc. I mean, the fight between Batman and Darkseid aside, it was really amazing seeing how Batman's determination. I mean, yeah, Batman is definitely one of the strongest-willed heroes in the DCU, and if anything, and obviously when it comes to family, it's important to Bruce because he lost his parents due to crime, and his only living relative after them would be his son Damian, who again he lost due to Talia and the League of Assassins attacking Gotham. Now he is doing anything he can to bring his son back, and he is successful. And there is a very touching scene when he does bring Damian back to life. Trust me, when you see it, it will bring a tear to your eye. And again, the whole Batman collapsing, that will definitely be addressed in the one-shot next week. So yeah, overall, if you love the Bruce and Damian relationship, if you think Damian's a cool character, good news, he's back to life. Overall, if you want a story that proves why Batman is so great, why, even though he doesn't have superpowers, he's definitely one of the greatest heroes in comic book history, this is definitely a story arc you should check out. Alright, now it's time to talk about Justice League number 37. Superman and Batman are able to find the patient zero of the Amazovirus, and unfortunately, though, it doesn't go well because the dude is crazy. The victims of the Amazovirus do start to develop metahuman powers, which patient zero starts to develop heat vision, and then he starts to grow wings to help him fly, and basically it's hard for Superman and Batman to take him down. Fortunately, they're then joined by Wonder Woman, who helps them out, but it's becoming very difficult for them to capture this guy. So Batman figures, all right, we'll just get a blood sample and I can take that back to base camp. And so Superman and Wonder Woman hold Patient Zero down while Batman collects a blood sample. Unfortunately, Patient Zero is able to fight back, is able to resist them, fights back, and knocks him off him. He destroys the sample, and unfortunately, Batman's suit gets pierced. So now he's exposed to the Amazovirus. Meanwhile, back at base camp, Lex Luthor talks to his sister Lena Luthor, and she asks him why he created the Amazovirus. And Lex gives her a story that he did because there's a rise of metahuman supervillains, and eventually and if these numbers keep increasing, the prisons are going to be overcrowded. There's going to be no solution to stop them, so he created the Amazovirus to suppress metahuman abilities. However, Lena says, Lex, I watched you lie to Dad when you said you snuck off to Metropolis. I know when you're lying. And at that point, Lex just leaves the room. Then when Colt asks Lex about the status of the Justice League, Lex says that most of them are weak due to the Amazovirus, and Colt then calls him out and says, like, I bet that's why you created it. And then Lex gets angry at him, shoves him up against a wall and says, don't ask questions, that's not why I pay you for. Then suddenly an explosion happens, and Captain Cold are knocked out, and an assassin named Bullet shows up and says he's here to collect the bounty and will take the job to assassinate Lex Luthor, and shoots Lex, and that's where the issue ends. Okay, lots of action in this issue, but there's still really not much explanation on this. We still have no idea why exactly Lex Luthor created the Amazovirus. I mean, the story he gives Lena is kind of believable, because I think Lex would definitely create the Amazovirus to help suppress metahumans, but he would only do it, I believe, just to sell it to a city or a certain area that has problems with metahumans. But like Lena said, she knows when he's lying, so obviously there's another purpose to the creation of the Amazovirus, which we still have no idea. And also, someone's still after Lex Luthor, which is why we're getting the assassins, and also cool fight between Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman between Patient Zero. In next issue, Batman will start to exhibit superpowers, so that might be good. But back to this issue. Really, like I said, lots of action, which is good because this book does have amazing artwork, so that helps. But we don't really get that much of an explanation for why everything's happening. Why, such as like, can they cure the virus? What's going to cure it? Why did Lex create it again? That's the big question that everyone's asking. But we don't really get much of an explanation for it. So, honestly, Justice League number 37, I'd say if you like great action scenes, then just borrow this from a friend. Otherwise, you can skip it. Well, that's it for my comic book review this week. Thank you again for watching, whether you're an old subscriber or a new subscriber. Thanks for your support. Also, I just want to remind everyone that due to the holidays next week, there will not be a review posted. I may do something with Robin Rises Alpha, but I'll let you know. And I do have a few more videos I believe that I'm going to shoot before. I'm going to have leading up to New Year's, such as Best Comics of 2014. I'm also going to have my annual Doctor Who video that I like to do at the end of the year. So those are some things that you'll probably see between Christmas Day and New Year's Eve. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I'm Spider-Man 1991, wishing everyone happy holidays.